And I've been a little concerned, I admit it, of what I would say today and then follow this afternoon and all the processes of our annual meeting, that some people would tune out, tune down, not focus on the essence of what this community is about. What is most important? Sometimes all the little details, that happens to me too. Plumbing problems, roof issues, personality conflicts. I can get distracted too. We all can. But with that powerful music, our hearts can be opened to what unity is about, what our lives individually and communally are about, what our world is about. It is about the goodness of God expressing through us and through what we are together. And so, my lesson title today sums up all that I will say, because I have many things to say. It sums it all up. It's all spiritual practice. I don't know if you were like me, raised in a church or tradition of some kind. And it's easy if we just kind of go mindlessly along with the flow. We get to think that we do all our work. It's all about 1 hour on Sunday. Unity from its beginning, because they held their services at a different time than Sunday morning originally. Part of that was to allow people to attend other traditions on Sunday morning, but it was also to try to shift people's attention to spiritual growth through spiritual practice is not about 1 hour each week. It's all spiritual practice. It's all the process of how we relate to one another, how we support one another. We know our motto on the big sign outside the building, that unity is a place that embraces people, loves people, and empowers people. And frankly, that can't be done 1 hour a week on Sunday morning. And so this afternoon, if you attend the annual meeting, I really encourage you, member and friend alike, to hear some of the new opportunities we're working so hard on, so that you have a buffet of possibilities, a whole menu of spiritual practices. Not that you have to do them all. That's not the point. There are all these opportunities that you can join individually and as a community to develop a strong faith that can create a song like we just heard. After living in New York State for a decade and visiting New York City many times, I learned the old adage, you might say, straight from the horse's mouth. A tourist in New York City asked a local, "How do you get to Carnegie Hall?" And the local replied, "Practice, practice, practice." This is well known, but it's the essence of what the Fillmores and others that worked with them tried to teach. They believed in Sunday services, midweek services. They offered them, yes, and there was singing, and there was prayer, and there was guided meditation, and many things. But they knew and taught that unless you take these ideas of your empowerment by the infinite and apply them in your daily living, you're not getting with the program. I heard one time, sometimes people outside of a tradition or community, they can come and they can see it in a particular way with fresh eyes, and they'll say something quite insightful. And I heard a very devout Catholic man who was a regular reader of Unity's devotional magazine, Daily Word, that we use in the service. And he loved the Daily Word. And he said, well, I don't think of Unity as a church. It's more a way of life. Thank you. Thank you for your observation, because that is the truth. Our Unity tradition was known in its beginning as practical Christianity. That was the term that the Fillmores set on to best convey to people what the Unity teaching was about. It was taking Christian principles, ideas from what Jesus taught as recorded in the Gospels, and making them practical, relevant to your daily life, even in this year of 2026. It was a way of mastering life by the choices and actions that you take on a daily basis, the good habits you form. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, claimed in his down-to-earth Midwestern manner, "Don't be afraid to discuss anything with God. He's your creative partner. Ask him about that drink of whiskey or the new dress that you want. Take everything to God, for he works with you to create what you want in your life, your community, and your world." Now, I have an old proverb displayed on the wall of my office. I like to look at it often because it reminds me. It says, "Everyone is kneaded out of the same dough, but not baked in the same oven." Hear that? Everyone is kneaded out of the same dough, but not baked in the same oven. In Unity, we like to say we are all children of God. We all come forth as expressions or creations of God. But we have different life stories. That's the oven. We're made of God's stuff. But we're baked in our individual lives, cultures, times. And that gives us our uniqueness. It's something to celebrate. I heard a wonderful expression from Reverend Al Sharpton on his television program, and he was commenting about cultures celebrating themselves, celebrating their community. And he said, never, never, never condemn a group of people for celebrating who they are. I thought, what a wonderful statement. And so, yes, in Unity we talk a great deal that we've come forth from the infinite, children of God. But we have wonderful, unique life stories, both with heartaches and with great joy, that we each have and that we can each share as a community. We are, in truth, all created from the same dough, but we're baked through different life experiences. Aware of this idea, we can acknowledge the unity of spirit within us all, and at the same time, realize, honor the uniqueness of our individual lives. The acclaimed Unity author and minister of New York City, Eric Butterworth, described it in his own unique way, saying, "We each have human eachness within the spiritual allness. We are each an eachness in the allness." Eric really knew how to turn a phrase so that we can celebrate what we each are as a part of the all. So what does this mean for our beloved community in Unity South? We can allow one another the individual path of choice, and we can participate together in the building up of a community. We can grow in understanding as we see both our individual truth and our valuable part or place in the community. So there is the theme. It's all. Every moment of every day. Every thought that fills us, every feeling that stirs us, every action we take is a spiritual practice. Now, when I say a spiritual practice, I don't mean necessarily holding your hands so, kneeling on the floor, standing upright, doing certain actions. A spiritual practice is to act from the idea of spiritual truth, of who you are. The Christ, speaking through Jesus, spoke these marvelous, powerful words. It was a declaration of both warning and a promise. In this world, there will be tribulations, challenges, obstacles, unfairness, violence. But be of good cheer. Have hope. Be empowered because I, the infinite truth within you, have overcome the world. Or we might say, stands above the world. To know that there is an infinite source always available to you. If you'll ask, if you'll seek, if you'll knock, you will find. A way will be opened. Now, it's a realization to notice that we are creating, Mr. Fillmore said, being creations of the infinite source means that we are also creative. We are creating all the time. The question is, what are we creating, and are we consciously choosing? By that, I mean, I promise you tomorrow, no matter what you do, no matter what spiritual practice, what activity, you will create something because you're a creator of an infinite source. Will you create doubt? Will you create fear, anxiety, harsh judgment of others or yourself? What will you create? Or will you create an atmosphere, deeds, a heart that radiates love and possibility, that uplifts not only yourself, but those around you, with that sense that I've come to express, and you know this, as, wow, wow. That sense of radiance. Wow. Wow. So you'll create something. Will others look at you this week and say, wow? When Gerald walks into a room, I feel encouragement. I feel hopeful. I'm excited about life. When Holly shows up, it's going to be a good time. She just brings a joy into the room. Do you want to be like that? Or do you want to be like the proverbial Debbie Downer that comes into a sitch and, woe is me. Ain't it awful? They say Eric Butterworth used to really get upset when one of his members would come and say, oh, my life's like that, Murphy's Law. If anything can possibly go wrong, it will. And he'd shake his head and actually get a little worked up and say, why don't you reverse that and say, if anything possibly good can happen in my life, it will. It will. You're creative no matter what. So our spiritual practice, our growth in our unity community, is about opportunities to open our eyes. You might use the religious term to enlighten ourselves, but to be more aware of how we're using our creativity. About the time unity was getting started in America, an Austrian poet, if I can get my German right, Rainer Maria Rilke, wrote these words. Listen closely. We have no reason to mistrust our world, for it is not against us. Has it terrors? There are terrors. Has it abysses? Those abysses belong to us. Are dangers at hand? We must try to love them. Perhaps all the dragons in our lives are actually princesses, divine feminine, who are only waiting to see us once beautiful and brave, to witness our greatness. Perhaps everything terrible is in its deepest being something helpless that wants help from us. I love that last sentence. Perhaps everything terrible is in its deepest being something helpless that wants help from us. This idea, those words of Jesus, there are challenges and difficulties, but be of hope. Good mood, because I, the truth within you, has overcome all these things that you must face. I've told the story before, but you know, we have blessed people around us in our families, friends, teachers perhaps. They set an example that we witness and we never forget it. And one was my mother's faith. I asked her in her later years, I said, how did you and my father get through the Great Depression, World War II, the turbulent 60s, and on and on? And she paused for a moment and said, well, I've always believed whatever I had to face, God would give me the strength to face it. God would provide. and then I would work and go forward. Gerald Evans spoke last week and reminded us of this essential truth. He shaped it into the phrase tap, tap, T, think truth, align yourself with the truth that is the presence and power of God. A, affirm truth, practice discernment through affirmations and denials. Denying what is not true about you and affirming what is true. And then P, prepare for the expression of truth. That is, act from this inner awareness. Charles Fillmore, again in his straightforward manner, would tell people during that Great Depression of the 1930s when he wrote his book, Prosperity, because he knew people needed these ideas to work with. And he said, if you want more prosperity in your life, do the things that make for prosperity. Generosity of heart, willingness to act, to go forward, caring about others. Tap. Thank you, Gerald. Tap, tap, tap. There is one spiritual practice or approach to working to the situations in your life. And it works for the good times, too. When everything's going right, every year, at the turning of the year, I read that marvelous letter from Brother Giovanni, and just the one line. He said, when you think about the joys of your life, don't just think about them as joys and good times. They contain within their depths even greater understanding for you. Learn from the joys, learn from the challenges. Well, I want to conclude with this sense of hope. It was expressed beautifully by former President Barack Obama at the memorial service this week for Reverend Jesse Jackson. Barack gathered his focus and said, we must be messengers of hope. Wherever we have a chance to make an impact, whether it's our school, our workplace, our cities, not for fame, not for glory, or because success is guaranteed, but because it gives our life purpose. Because it aligns with what our faith tells us God expects of us. And because if we don't step up, perhaps no one else will. Are you ready on this March 8th as we gather this afternoon to look into the future of our beloved community? Are you willing to be a messenger of hope? To see the possibilities, to affirm them, and then to prepare for the good by the actions you take. How you relate to one another. What you're willing to support with your time, your treasure, your talents. I invite you. Be that messenger of hope, for it will lift your life and it will radiate good into our world. You are a creative agent of God. Be mindful and choose what you bring into this world, what you value. Remember that beautiful melody that Jeff shared. I believe. I believe. And there's an unwritten line after that. I believe. What do you believe? We all believe something. Choose what you believe. And I invite you for a moment to turn your attention within. And first we relax. We let the glorious design of our physical bodies that God gave us teach us by becoming aware of our breath. What if we could not breathe out the used air? Wow. That's amazing. We can breathe out the carbon dioxide. Can we be more mindful of untrue ideas, discouraging ideas, harmful ideas that we may be holding within, and breathe them out? Deny their validity? Let them go? Wow. Wow. It's amazing how we are created in this marvelous world God has given. So I'm going to ask you to affirm with me several simple but powerful statements. I'll speak them. Please repeat them. I am a wonderful creation of God. I am a wonderful creation of God. I have power by my very existence. I have power by my very existence. I affirm the spiritual principles of creation. I affirm the spiritual principles of creation. I practice truth and manifest good the best I can. I practice truth and manifest good the best I can. Practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. I am on the road of mastery. I am on the road of mastery. Wow. Wow. And so it is, and we are grateful. Amen.